I'm trying to stop my presentation sharing of the screen, but I think my computer just stopped because I cannot move anything anymore.
Your computer crashed. So
yes. Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
You have to thank myself.
But
not David.
but now what's going on? Participants. Okay. Something wrong. Thank you, Almo, for stopping screens. So the next presentation is by Borkar Shashank, and the title is Elucidating the Acoustic Dynamics of Indirana Kiravasi, with the special emphasis on temperature and humidity. Shashank, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Thank you for your introduction. Can I share my screen?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So, hi everyone from India. I am Shashank Borkar. Is the screen visible, sir?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes.
Maybe
Thank you so much.
maybe you can put in full screen. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. So I am Shashank Borkar from India. I am a postgraduate in zoology. The present work that I am presenting is my project work for my master's. So titled Elucidating the Acoustic Dynamics of Indirana chiravasi, with special emphasis on temperature and humidity. To start with, as we all know, communication has three basic important interacting components, which goes like source, the receiver, and there is another third component which has equal importance, that is the surrounding environment. In this project, what we are trying to understand is how these factors present in the transmitting environment are affecting the calling patterns of the Indirana chiravasi. To understand that, we may first know what is exactly is vocalization and what is the importance of vocalization in frogs. As we all know, frogs communicate by producing acoustic signals. They are important for them to pass on their genes. They are of prime importance in case of the life cycle of frogs, as we all know. So whenever a male is sending the acoustic signals, it consists of certain important information, which is inferred by the female. The information might be what's the size of the sender, what is the identity, whether it belongs to the same species, what is the exact location of the sender, and so on and so forth. So while these acoustic signals are transmitted from the sender to the receiver, what exactly are the factors present in the environment which are affecting these acoustic signals positively or negatively? So the factors might be the wind, atmospheric absorption, turbulence, the vegetation, topology, ground impedance, temperature, so on and so forth. For moving ahead with the project, we considered two important bioacoustic theories, including the acoustic adaptation hypothesis, which says that the animals, to lower the degradation of sound across the vegetation, call at lower frequencies, so that the lower frequencies experience minimum degradation across the vegetation, and vice versa with higher frequencies. Similarly, the morphological adaptation hypothesis, which correlates the body size with the frequency, with the average frequency of the organism. Larger the body size, lower is the frequency of the acoustic signals. So we considered two groups of factors, one being the intrinsic factors and the second being the extrinsic factors. Under intrinsic factors, we had snout to vent length and mass, the overall size of the organism, the average dominant frequency, and under extrinsic factors, we had ambient temperature and humidity. We also calculated atmospheric attenuation and speed of the sound by using the equations given by Gorlitz. And hence we state the objectives for our research work to establish relationships between call structure and habitat type and environmental factors for Indirana chiravasi, and to investigate if changes in the habitat and environmental factors like temperature and humidity affect the acoustic repertoire and ultimately the species survival. Now, why did we select Indirana chiravasi? Basically, the species is morphologically distinct, and hence, frankly, the on-field identification of the species will be easy. Similarly, the habitat specificity, the study area which we selected, Amboli from Maharashtra state of India, it is a prime spot in the Western Ghat region of India, which are the eco hotspots, as we all may know, at an altitude of 690 meters. And this study area is a type locality of the species. And hence it again helped us in finding a considerable population and again aiding us in the on-field identification of the individual. The acoustic behavior of the species was known. Previously, 2 advertisement calls of the species were described. They go like this. The advertisement call number 1. I hope you heard this one. It consists of a single heavy note, whereas the advertisement call number 2, as you can see on the spectrogram over here, it has a heavy note followed by a series of lighter notes. So its acoustic behavior was known, and hence we selected this particular species for our further study. Again, its habitat, it dwells in the laterite rocks, which you can see over here in the right pic, and hence the name Chiravasi. Laterite rocks are called in the local language as Chira, and hence the name Chiravasi, specific name. So we used a Zoom H2n handy recorder to record the calls of the individuals in wave format at a sampling frequency of 44.1 kilohertz. We recorded and also we measured the sound pressure level, the temperature and humidity, temperature of the individual by using non-contact thermometers. We measured the vantage point of the organism from which it was calling. We measured the snout to vent length and the weight. So like this, we documented about 50 individuals for their calls. We plotted the oscillograms and spectrograms to obtain the parameters like the dominant frequency, call rate, and call duration. We plotted spectrogram with the help of FFT using a hand window of 512 sample size. We carried on this analysis in Array1 Pro 1.5. So the collinearity between the average peak frequency, atmospheric attenuation, speed of sound, we all considered this as dependent variables, and we considered snout to vent length, ambient temperature, and humidity as independent variables. And we calculate the collinearity using the partial least square regression. Next, what we did was we considered snout to vent length to be a dependent variable and correlated it with the temperature and environment, temperature of the environment and the humidity, considering them as the independent variables. So these were the plots which were obtained. We can see here clearly that the temperature of the ambient temperature, it showed strong negative correlation with the snout to vent length. Similarly, the atmospheric attenuation, it showed strong negative correlation with the SVL and weight. The ambient temperature showed strong positive correlation with the speed of the sound, and so on. We can jot down the points as follows. The speed of sound, it increased with the increase in temperature. SVL negatively correlated with the temperature, and hence we could find that temperature size rule was followed. Also, the atmospheric attenuation positively correlated with the average dominant frequency, and hence we could also find that acoustic adaptation hypothesis was working in this case. Similarly, the average dominant frequency, it negatively correlated with the body size, and again we can also see that morphological adaptation hypothesis also worked. So we also could obtain versions of the originally described calls, and also another new call from the total data set which we recorded. The first one, a single heavy note, which we call it as advertisement call 1, was already described. We also found 2 different versions of this call, which goes like a lighter version, which was the AC1A, and just a small squeak, which is the AC1B. Similarly, the advertisement call 2, which was...
Sorry for interrupting you, Shashank.
Yes, sir.
We cannot hear any sound. So if your presentation goes onwards with many sound examples, I I suggest you to stop your sharing and then share again, checking on the bottom left part, share sound. Otherwise, we cannot hear anything.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Just a minute.
On the bottom left, you have.
Yeah. Yes, sir, I
Okay.
got it. Can I go again with the calls?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, sir.
Even the previous slide, we didn't hear anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let me begin with the first call. So this was the advertisement call 1, which was previously we talked about as well. Just a single heavy note. The second version of the call which we found out was just a small croak. I hope you can hear that.
Yes, yes, perfect.
Yeah, and the third one was just a small squeak. Right. So the second advertisement call, which was already described, goes like this. A single heavy note followed by various smaller lighter notes, a series of lighter notes. The second version of this call, which we could find, was right. So this was the second version which we could obtain from the data. Secondly, we could find a third call which was which showed some variation, like so. This was the third call which we could see, and this one was another variation of this third call, which is consisting of a high-pitched flip followed by a single croaking like sound. Right. So these were the calls which we could find out from the total data set. Next, what we could see here is we could find graded vocalization which was followed among the individuals of Indirana Chiravasi. What we mean by graded vocalization, as we all know, males they adjust their relative aggression and attractiveness of their calls. So depending upon who is present in their proximity, if there is male, they make the call more aggressive. If there is a female in the proximity, they make it more attractive. So the advertisement call 1, which we know, it consisted of a single heavy note and numerous lighter notes, which were of course the advertisement call 1, advertisement call 2, I'm sorry. So it was attracting a female by using the lighter notes, by making the call more attractive. So if we see this clip, which is consisting of a face-off between two males, and if we hear the calls carefully, I hope you could hear that. So if you could hear these calls here carefully, we can observe that there are only heavy notes which are present in the repertoire, which tells that when male is in the vicinity, it is not wasting its energy to make its call more attractive, because he'll not get anything from that. So what he is doing is he is just using his energy with a single heavy note to wear off that particular individual of the same species to decrease the competition. Second thing, another interesting observation which we could see is we got a male which was calling just beside a copulating pair, and if you hear the call of the male properly, so it's totally bizarre. It's like we have all the AC1 advertisement call 2, the advertisement call 3, a mixture of all of them. When we compare it in the spectrogram structure, the call structure which we see, so it is a mixture of all the calls. So That's what we observed while in the calling pattern of a male which was there alongside a copulating pair. So also the PLS, the partial least square regression which we carried out, it showed that SVL correlated negatively with the temperature. Now this correlation was obtained for a local population, and the correlation which we obtained between the SVL and the temperature was highly significant just for a local population of 50 individuals. If same survey is carried out for the total geographical distribution of this species, we can obtain more significant correlations between SVL and temperature, and the effect of changing temperature on the calling repertoire of the Indirana species, it becomes more observable or more significant. Thirdly, what might be the effect of global warming on vocalization? So according to a report by IPCC, we could see that there was an increase in the global temperature by 0.2 degrees Celsius every decade. So if we consider our results, whatever results we have obtained from the correlation between the dependent and independent variables, if there is increase in the global temperature or increase in the temperature in the habitat of that particular species, organisms with shorter SVL will be selected, that is snout to vent length will be selected. Those organisms with shorter snout to vent length will call at a higher frequency, and as they are calling at higher frequency, their calls are prone to be getting degraded by the atmosphere. That is, as they are calling at higher frequency, it is high probability that these calls may get degraded. So this is what we found by comparing our results, and we could infer that increasing temperature would ultimately cause problems in the acoustic repertoire of this species. That is, the acoustic analysis indicates that rise in the temperature may affect the calling in Indirana chiravasi. Thus, we can also predict the effect of increase in global temperature on calling behavior of this species. So further prospects of this study, we are continuing, and we are trying to carry out the same procedure on a few more species and to observe whether all of them follow a similar kind of trend, and hence the result will be more definite, discrete. And also we want to carry out a long range temperature logging so that we could understand the exact effect of temperature on the calling repertoire of this particular species. Thank you. I thank Almo Farino sir and all the organizers for letting me present my work in this prestigious conference, and I'm open for questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Shashank. There are questions, at least two of them. Maybe I read it for you so you can. A question for Guru Raja KV. Relationships between SVL and sound frequency are empirically found to be negatively related. How does your work takes that into consideration?
Yes, sir, that's what. When we say that the SVL of the individual and the peak frequency are negatively correlated, what we are seeing is when the temperature of when the global temperature will increase, we may see that the SVL, the organisms with shorter SVL are getting selected, and these shorter SVL will be calling, these organisms with shorter SVL will be calling at higher frequencies. So that's how we are considering the negative correlation between SVL and the sound frequency.
Okay, let's go for the next question from Matthias Munoz. Thanks for the interesting talk. Beautiful frogs with big ears and big repertoire. Were all the frogs calling from rocks, or some of them from trees also? If so, do you think the substrate may affect the SPL measurements or the type of calls they were producing?
Yeah, these the peculiar habitat of these frogs are the laterite rocks. They usually call by sitting on the top of these laterite rocks, Also, sometimes they are seen to be calling from the crevices of the trees. So when we see about the SPL measurements, we are not exactly sure how they will affect it. But I feel with their peculiar location where we documented these individuals, there were various other various other species also calling, which might again contribute to some change in these SPL measurements. But I'm not completely sure regarding that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there other questions? You see them? Someone from the panelists? So we are just in time. So 20 minutes. Thank you for keeping the presentation within time. And thank you, Borka, and good luck with your work, because it will be important to go in other species and do some predictions of what will be going on with the climate change. Of course,
Yes, sir.
you showed a decade projection of 0.2,
Yes.
but it will be important to to scream loud these findings, because of course the natural world is trying to adapt as it can,
Yes.
but this will open up many routes for invasive species and for shifting of habitats toward the higher altitudes.
Yes.
What's already
Actually,
happening in the Amazon is
yes,
I mean, it's happening in India as well.
Yeah,
I believe.
the problem in case of these individuals is they are already calling from the mid elevation, that is about 700 to 1400 meters of height.
Right.
So they cannot move ahead. They cannot move altitudinally. So they have to either move latitudinally. I'm sorry. So either they have to move upwards, where the peak level, peak heights of the ghats are very lower, or else they have to move towards down south in Kerala and regions. So which is not typically favorable for their locality or for their particular habitats.
But that's subtropical or tropical.
Yeah.
So, well, so that the biodiversity is high, so the chances to find available niches or is not so high. So that's important to say, that there's no way for a few of these animals, for many of these animals actually.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and
thank you, sir.
Congratulations. And
thank you.
The next presentation will be Lamount Andrea, which is already with us, I believe. I can see the image.
Yes.
And will present research on preserving the sounds of the earth and supporting scientific projects through sonic, music, and digital experiences. Now we move here radically on something that that's the interesting way, the interesting part of having a mixture of and not having presentation coupled by themes, by topic, rather by time views of the online conference, that we shift from one topic to the opposite one, probably.